So have you ever noticed that in the wintertime, when you would basically get a lot of snow, and you always wondered why is it that when you get all this snow, you're only able to get out of it so much water. No different than even in the weather that's hotter, and depending on how much you sweat, you're only able to get out of it so much water. And then that evolves around a lot of other things. You get an orange, you're only able to get out of it so much juice. So a lot of things in life requires the frugality amongst us. What we have to learn how to do is basically live within our means. But we live in a world, especially in the western half of the world, where we want things right now and we want things fast and we want quite an abundance of it. So nature teaches you that there's a time and place for everything, even depending on certain fruits that we like to eat. Well, certain things you can't eat all year round because it only grows at that certain time of the year. But some people have found ways to still harvest those type of crops no matter what time of the year based on genetic alterations, right? So, um, but this doesn't take away from what nature has been teaching us this whole time. But it seems like with humanity, it wants to try to usurp the teacher just through consumerism and capitalism alone. So it's just led to a lot of things becoming truly wasted, and pretty much there's a decline of those things being available now in nature because mankind has pretty much consumed so much of that resource that there's not any of it left for us to have. It's just if we learn how to be more efficient, more economical, more resourceful, we'd be better. But we think about that when it comes to these dollar bills, but we don't think about the things that make those dollars, right? Like trees. So like paper basically. We don't think about how we need to recycle. We live in certain parts of the world where there is still a lot of cars, like a very car centric society, to where per person that takes up quite a bit of oxygen, you know. Um, and so what that does is it just leaves a larger carbon footprint. Yet we don't plant enough plants to consume all this carbon that we put out here. Okay. We value more of real estate instead of the real ecology of things. Need to put out more parks versus more parking lots. You know, that's what we need to do. And that's the unfortunate thing because if you think about it, we live in a world where things are just getting worse depending on where you live at. The air is harder to breathe. And even aesthetically looking at things around you, the environment that you in, the older, decrepit buildings, it just makes the situation much worse in regards to whatever contaminants could be out there, even from the trees. Like, I mean, even, yeah, you can say even from the trees. Well, let's say even from the buildings that have a lot of lead on them, right? Some buildings aren't even up to code, have a lot of asbestos flying out literally from the roofs of the buildings that have been abandoned. Um, so, you know, that's the thing. Like, we have to try to put a lot more trees back into this world. Looks like somebody in the chat said there's like a trillion trees on Earth. That's actually even not enough trees for this planet. Like, think about all the trees that aren't here now because of all the trees that got chopped down. And we need to replenish those trees too. We need to keep our rainforests. We have to restore marshlands. People are finding out a lot of things the hard way in a lot of coastal areas where they're getting swept by all these hurricanes right now. My condolences, but those swamplands, those marshlands were there for a reason. They were a buffer zone so that people can be more inland and be protected by hurricane and be protected from hurricanes. Nothing wrong with going out to the beach, but don't live on the beach where you're going to get swept away by a category 5. I'm just saying. So, my condolences goes out to all those people too down there in Florida. All of them losing their things, nothing like losing everything that you have. I can only imagine what it's like to lose everything. But it just makes you wonder if we lived in a world where we got more frugal as nature has done, then we would know there are even places that we shouldn't live where we know we might lose everything in an instant. Okay. It does hurt me how even that a lot of the animals like birds, they make their nest out of plastic because they can't sometimes find viable sources of twigs and leaves to use to build nests with. The evilness of plastic in many ways. Like I live in areas, I have lived in areas per se, where they're getting rid of plastic from the grocery stores, and now it's only paper bags. And I think I'm very happy about that actually. So, um, but as long as we try to do more things to make things more biodegradable, even from the standpoint of washing and drying your clothes, find ways to hand wash or wash manually per se. Like they got non-electric manual clothes washers. I mean, or let me say this, non-electric manual uh clothes washing devices. Yeah, they have that. I can't really say a washing machine because the machine is electric, right? So it's not electric, it's just a device, right? But they have those. You can use, hand propelled to wash your clothes with. Likewise, they have hand propelled dryers that are non-electric. You just kind of there's like a little lever and you twist it, and then that makes it spin to how you to where you can actually dry your clothes off that way. So that stuff's out there if you want to get more into washing and drying your clothes without the need of electricity, to somewhat be not off grid but not on the grid either type of living. There you go, that's how you do that. So in ways you just try to reduce your carbon footprint, because in the ways that we're just continuing to manipulate our life, it's just making life on this earth actually become more difficult. Um, the more we're outside, we need to make better of our transportation. The more we're inside, we need to make the most of our recreation and even habitation. That's what we have to work on perfecting, work on reducing our carbon footprint, even regarding food. Learn how to fast more. You need to do intermittent fasting, but also fasting intermittently. Those two things are not the same, by the way. Okay. I'll talk about that one day here at this channel, given the date of this particular video. But I'll leave it at that. Y'all continue to stay blessed and stay on the straight and narrow. Hope you like this video.